You're listening to 101.1 FM WOPP-IP WDRV-IP WALE-IP Providence. I'm your co-host, Dhruv
And I'm your co-host, Alejandro Jackson.
And this is the Outta Pocket Podcast,
where we pull conversation topics out of our pocket.
And occasionally, go out of pocket.
Welcome back to the Outta Pocket Podcast. We missed you guys dearly. I hope you missed us in return. Welcome to Season 3. Admittedly, compared to last preseason, I guess we want to call it, we've kind of been moving in silence, I'm not going to lie. But we're coming back with a bang. On today's show, we're running back the summer recap like we did last season. And we're just going to get right into it and just talk about a variety of topics from throughout the summer of 2023.
Last 3 months.
Yeah,
we've been out of action, but we back.
Yeah.
So, I think the biggest thing that happened this summer, the Spider-Verse returned with another movie. I think probably one of the best movies ever made, but that's just me and a lot of other people.
No, it's valid. So. You know what's actually funny? Look, I didn't even mention this. I'm not gonna spoil it. You guys will see when the episode drops, but I may or may not have found a good thumbnail for honestly, it could work for this episode. So
oh, okay.
You'll see.
We'll run it. But yeah, no, Spider-Verse was just like, I mean, at this point, we can't say anything that hasn't already been said because it came out like 3 months ago.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, if you haven't watched it.
Yeah, it's a whole L. You're a whole L, bro. Like, come on.
It's a cultural phenomenon.
But yeah, the animation came back better than ever.
For sure.
Really leaned into the comic book elements that made, I think, the first one so unique.
Yeah. The sound design, stellar.
Mm-hmm. Fucking. Wow. That's like, I am Miguel O'Hara. Like, that's me. But yeah, you could see the spike in the audio wave when that happened. That's crazy. I think, long story short, the best thing about Across the Spider-Verse is that when Into the Spider-Verse came out, it was so unique, yet compared to Across the Spider-Verse, it still feels very reserved, because obviously that was the first time they were releasing a movie like that.
Yeah.
And, it was a big financial and creative risk on behalf of Sony Animation, who we know of Emoji Movie and Trolls fame. So they aren't Trolls is DreamWorks actually, right? I don't know.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Fucking Emoji Movie is they don't have a great track. Like Boss Baby too, I think. Or is Boss Baby also DreamWorks? I don't know, but rest assured, Sony Animation fully redeemed themselves with the first movie, and after they realized that this is actually something that works, this is something that a lot of people like and want to see, they said run it back and dial everything up to 11.
For real.
That's what made the second Spider-Verse so good. From the writing front, I think the biggest disappointment that everyone had was that the movie ended.
Yeah.
And you and I, who've been tracking the development of this movie for a while, already knew that it was going to be a part 1, because when they first announced it, they dropped the title as Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, months in advance, but they dropped the Part 1. And so going into the movie theater, I was like, oh, they're going to do a sneaky. Yeah. It's they don't know. But no, I thought it was amazing.
No, it was really good.
Yeah. And
I've seen, I watched a TikTok shortly after I saw the movie, which had a really good explanation of, if you haven't seen it, but, go watch it. But if you have seen it, you can hopefully understand this, that, someone made the point in addressing a lot of people's, I don't even want to say criticism, just, as you said, disappointments, and not even disappointments in a bad way. It's, disappointed that it ended because it was so good. So, but a lot of people's disappointments that it, ended on a bit of a cliffhanger. And this person outlined that essentially, Across the Spider-Verse is a movie and a half.
Yeah.
The basically the last I guess third act of the movie is basically the first act of setting up what's coming next. And so I don't know, it was really good.
I agree. Yeah. No, I also saw a TikTok where this dude was like, Hollywood only makes sequels and whatever, and they split movies that could be one part into 2 parts to make more money. I'm like, shut up, because honestly, no one is making a movie like Across the Spider-Verse besides Phil Lord and Chris Miller. And secondly, like, I am a firm believer in giving content and stories the room and space they need to breathe. Like, if you have a short story that can be that can pack the same amount of punch in 5 minutes, like in my mind, I'm thinking Love, Death, Robots animated shorts that can do like an amazing storytelling job in 10 minutes. In that short form fiction, then that's what you should do.
For sure.
When you have a grand multiverse spanning epic story that is across the Spider-Verse, you need 2 movies, I think, to really give justice to it and like get all the elements you need to like check the boxes in terms of like good character writing, this like unique story, cool action design, whatever. Movies that don't really need that, I don't know, like Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2, like come on, like what was that? Like the Divergent movies, Hunger Games did the same shit. We all know this. Like we know that Hollywood isn't great right now. Writers and actors strike, but I think Across the Spider-Verse was a hallmark. And that's not where I mean, unless you have anything to add, that's not the only huge movie that came to theaters this summer. I'm talking Barbenheimer. I mean, like Barbenheimer, what a phenomenon.
I know.
You know? Yeah.
So yeah, really quick, just before. So the only things I guess I will add is one, so if you haven't seen our previous episodes on like comic culture catch-ups on previous scenes, then you wouldn't know that we've had a running gag that Dhruv and I were actually both in the movie. It's crazy. So I wanted you to speak a little bit about what you thought about sort of the execution of
the execution
Spider-Man
was
India.
like S tier. Like Pavitra Prabhakar exceeded my every expectation. Like, I mean, we talked about this way back in, I want to say last December when they first released, or maybe January when they released the concept art. And I already knew like they were gonna take a lot of care with this character. And they even did like an additional like in all the interviews, everyone has been saying that, and I'm forgetting the voice actor's name, but the guy who plays Dopinder in Deadpool and who plays Pavitra in Spider-Verse, they got him in for the studio, and everyone is basically saying like, you know, the character isn't working right now. He doesn't feel authentic, doesn't feel real. Hey, why don't we get the voice actor and leading South Asian comedians? I think Hassan Minhaj was also in the writer's room, and just revamp the character. Like, what are some jokes that, you know, are funny and are also like culturally respectful? Sure, yeah. I mean, chai tea, naan bread, like
they put
hilarious.
They deadass took an interaction that we've had in real life, and just dropped in the movie like, bro, it's us.
It's
like,
true.
It's us.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think like, even though it is an old joke, nonetheless it needs to be said because I still hear people saying chai tea.
No,
Come
straight
on,
up,
bro. Get it together.
Yeah, like I've lived. Well, I mean, we must have had this conversation like, it must have been like last year, but essentially, I lived like, I want to say like 18 years of my life not knowing the distinction. Yeah. So, you know, like, it's like, yeah. And you know, again, I mean, I feel like this is more, I guess, more widely conveyed in the media because of, like, he's the main character. But I feel like I can say that, like, Miles is, the execution of his character and sort of the cultural notes that they hit is, like, very, like, I mean, obviously, I'm Cuban, so not Puerto Rican, so there are some differences, right?
The line when Miles said, "Oh, I heard he's Dominican," that shit killed me. That shit was so funny. But
yeah. So I don't know. I just thought it was really good in that regard. Miguel O'Hara's character was great, very captivating. I think Oscar Isaac did a great job.
Yeah, 100%.
My boy's Cuban. Shout out. And so I don't know. It's just like you said. Like I feel like they did put a lot of care into it, and like, you know, they took the time to make sure that they did the character justice. If for those of you who like don't read comics or don't keep up with comics too in depth, I think I can say for the both of us that we believe that Spider-Man India's comic
They tried, but it wasn't great. It wasn't anywhere near what we got.
I know.
Yeah.
So I think that's why, like, I say that to say that I think that just the amount of love that went into the movie shows with like how they, and not just Spider-Man India, but like a multitude of characters that show up throughout the film. It shows how much love they put into it. Also, going through the effort to, I mean, small spoiler alert again, but if you haven't seen it, bro, come on.
Get with the program.
Gambino.
Oh, that was
Gambino.
great. That I can't even begin to express how every Easter egg was just so perfectly done.
Yes. Toby and Andrew were both.
Toby and Andrew, spectacular Spider-Man. That was crazy.
Yeah.
But
Spider-Man PS4 was in there too.
Basically, for longtime Spider-Man fans like you and I, the movie was a complete
field
home run.
Absolute field day.
Three things that I do want to say. First of all, they gave us amazing American representation. Wearing shoes in the house.
Bro.
Wearing shoes on the bed.
That's crazy.
Opening collectibles.
That's
come
crazy.
on, bro. Yeah. It's very accurate. Secondly, one very valid criticism that should be made and levied against the movie is that, according to many interviews coming out, the animators were treated like garbage.
No, yeah.
More so than almost any other movie that has been made in recent years. So it does beg the question, is it worth it? Hard to say. I mean, globally, the movie is so well loved and well received. At the same time, the animation industry is so predatory itself. Like, same can be said about the video game industry or the writing. The whole entertainment industry is messed up. But the biggest criticism is, even though Phil Lord and Chris Miller are kind of heralded as these visionary directors and producer pairs who have made some of I think the most fun, engaging movies of the last 5 to 10 years.
Sure.
Behind the Lego Movie, behind all sorts of, but the lead animators were kind of anonymously saying that because of their drive to make the movie the best that it could be, almost nothing was set in stone. And so animators, they criticized that the directors, they were, even though there are animation directors, because they are very involved producers, their word is kind of taken above theirs. So they're at the top of the pyramid. And the criticism was that they couldn't visualize a scene until it was almost completed. And then they would give their notes and make criticisms and basically ask them to change it. And according to the animators, I think this is a direct quote, it felt like the rug was always shifting beneath them. And that's just not a good work environment. But at the same time, animation is reaching some insane new heights within the last 5 years. I feel like we hit this really hard snag in mainstream animation with just the Disney movies. But I mean, anime has been in its own world, AOT, Demon Slayer, even Zom 100 looks beautiful. And in terms of mainstream Western animation, we're seeing a huge renaissance of stylization with Into the Spider-Verse, Puss in Boots, which looks great and is a great movie. The new TMNT is really good.
I've heard.
Really good. I recommend. And according to the developers of that movie and the animators behind that, their work environment was actually a lot better because Seth Rogen was basically we don't want anyone, I want the person stressing out the most on this project to be me, because I'm the director and I'm the producer, or I don't know if he directed, but I'm the producer. I'm the one kind of leading the charge in creating this movie. I don't need my animators stressing out more than me. And I think that's a very healthy mindset to create. And he created a movie that looks just as good and unique as Spider-Verse, because it really emphasizes like the asymmetricality of all the character designs, similar to like a way that Rango did. So either way, long-winded rant just to say that like even though Spider-Verse was amazing, the industry is always something that we should keep in mind when we question it.
For sure. Yeah. And I think that I think this summer is quite a, I guess, well-timed one to make that point, considering the writer's strike that's going on right now. I think that we kind of building off of what you've said, although I think Spider-Verse is going to be a like worldwide loved movie for years to come, I don't think that's worth it at the expense of like just people like being constantly depressed or anxious to go into work because they feel like they have like they're being suffocated and they have no escape, and it is like, I guess, somewhere along the same lines, but like I just recently watched a YouTube video of like some allegations coming out of like the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
Oh really?
And like about the culture there, and like allegedly that like people started calling the dressing rooms like crying rooms, where they would just like go to just like let out frustrations, and like we don't want to like create work environments like that. And so I'm very grateful to have Spider-Verse as a movie for my like identity and what it means like for me. At the same time, like things have got to change. And one last question I wanted to ask, just really quick: which soundtrack did you prefer, Into or Across? Into
crazy.
or Across?
I mean, this is also something that's been talked about on like a bunch of podcasts and YouTube videos or whatever. But like, I think I agree with the general consensus. Metro made some bangers. As an album, the Across the Spider-Verse soundtrack has just a lot of cohesion. That being said, this might delve into like hot take territory, but I'm not like the biggest fan of Metro Boomin's production. I think it's like it's very unique, and he's great at what he does, and he's clearly an incredibly like creative individual. But like I will like Creepin', Superhero, like whatever. I will the Across the Spider-Verse soundtrack and enjoy it. I'm not dunking on Metro Boomin whatsoever, but I feel like after a certain point, a lot of the songs do sound very similar. And it's hard for the good songs, quote unquote, to like kind of stand out from like the pack if it's kind of like lumped in with everything else. Whereas the Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack, I feel like every single song was, well, with a couple of exceptions, were very unique and very memorable. Like What's Up Danger is still like the song in my mind that I associate with like the climax of that movie. Mi Familia, fucking Sunflower was huge. Like those were iconic songs. And I think the Across the Spider-Verse soundtrack, the songs haven't reached quite the same level of cultural
I agree.
relevance. Like they're very big within the youth and like the Spider-Verse niche, but you couldn't exist in the winter of 2018 without hearing Sunflower on the radio. It was true. Like it was everywhere.
Yeah. I used to ride the bus back. It was like a private bus back home to get back from high school. But like you said, like on the radio, like every day, Sunflower.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to the Across the Spider-Verse album enough to really say like what I think of Metro Boomin's production. I will say though, I think Into the Spider-Verse definitely stuck with me more. Like I feel like it, like you said, it was a bit more of a touted soundtrack. Like people were like playing it everywhere. So yeah, just a
Yeah.
good question.
That's not to dunk on the
No. Yeah.
What were your favorite songs?
Annihilate. Is
Hands
like,
down.
Yeah.
Banger. Self love.
Self love was. Oh, like I'm not the biggest fan.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not the biggest fan. Damn, what are the other ones on that? It's
Am I dreaming?
Okay.
Yeah. It's,
there was another one that I was pretty. I enjoyed pretty.
How does it go?
I'd have to check my. Let's make a quick look on Spotify. You know, it's funny. Like you type in one word and it instantly comes up. Hummingbird's good.
Hummingbird's
I like
good.
Hummingbird quite a lot. And Home I quite enjoyed.
Home is good. Calling is solid.
Yeah. Yeah, but Annihilate's definitely my favorite. I think, and I mean this is like a topic for a different episode. Honestly, this is definitely a hot take. To tier list or not to tier list, rappers.
Oh. We got a while. We got all of season 3.
Yeah.
but yeah.
Cause I was thinking like Annihilate, like Lil Wayne, like, and, you know, Lil Wayne is, I feel like, held as one of the greatest rappers to ever
Honestly,
live.
yeah. I didn't think about it before this summer because he was always just kind of around. Well, that's the thing. He's always been around.
Yeah.
And like, even though I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm like chilling on a Friday night and I'm like, oh, I should listen to some Lil Wayne right now. He nonetheless like is in a bunch of songs and he writes very creative bars.
Exactly. Yeah. He writes extremely creative bars, and I think he's also very creative with his sound. I feel like for someone named like Lil Wayne, no, I mean like
someone named Lil Wayne.
No, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like for someone named Lil Wayne, like it's very easy for people who don't listen to his discography to like discount him as like, oh, another one of those rappers with the Lil yeah. With that being said, like I feel like his sound is extremely expansive and not just tied to like just rap. And, I mean obviously I do not know too much about Lil Wayne, but from my understanding, like he takes influences from like sort of rock and like a bit of like just other genres that like, you know, and he like, I don't know, he just seems like one of those, he skates. He's like the best way I can put it is like kind of Spider-Punk vibe, like
he's real life Hobie.
So I don't know, just his bars on like Annihilate were really creative. I think just like the flow is like very like, catchy and just like but yeah. That just
anyway,
the podcast. Moving on. As you mentioned earlier, Barbenheimer.
Yeah, we could keep talking about Spider-Verse until the cows come home, but we got the rest of the summer to get through. So Barbenheimer, to keep it short and sweet, I went to go. I double featured it like a lot of people.
So did I.
Over the summer.
Yeah.
You know, dressed up. It was really cool to have like an event to bring people back to the theaters. I don't think theaters are going anywhere. I got to see Oppenheimer, you know, as, you know, Nolan intended in the 70 millimeter. I thought it was really good. Definitely a flawed movie though.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's like the best movie I've ever seen, not by a long shot. In contrast, Barbie was fucking awesome. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that movie, I was laughing the entire time. Like, it was so much better than I could have imagined. Not just from like an enjoyability standpoint, but like the writing was pretty tight. And the direction was also very well done. I think like in my mind, Barbie solo's Oppenheimer. I'm not gonna lie, but nonetheless, like the fact that, you know, I got to see both of them in one day was just like a good time. And it's funny that Gen Z, and like I mean to exclude millennials when I say this, Gen Z is single-handedly like the agent of chaos in the movie industry. Because last summer it was like we all went to go see Minions in like formal wear. And this summer someone started up the idea of Barbenheimer. And so I really love how we're keeping movie studios on their feet. And now they're trying to like replicate the success of the other movies by recreating those trends. But they arose so organically that they can't do it.
Yeah.
Like I think maybe it was the Paramount Twitter account, and they were like 7 tickets to Saw Patrol, which is like the Paw Patrol movie and the Saw sequel releasing on the same day.
Terrible.
I'm like, that's just cringe. Like that's not funny. No one's actually gonna go double feature those movies.
Yeah.
It's just like Silence brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Barbenheimer is great.
Did you get dressed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to.
No, yeah, me too. I enjoyed Oppenheimer quite a bit. I think for me, and this is definitely down to personal taste. I think Barbie was an extremely stellar movie. I think it was, just just a sleeper in the sense of like. I feel like nobody expected. Like I feel like they were making a Barbie movie and nobody was really like looking in depth about like what the movie's about.
Yeah.
But I think that it had conveyed very powerful messages and you know it was a very well made. It was very well made in the sense that like I feel like it's like they very effectively captured the I guess essence of Barbie and sort of like, you know, with the set design and like just like the little like
physical comedy gags of like them not being able to like move their legs and like it was
like,
so
what's your job?
Yeah.
Like beach. Like
yeah, it's so good.
So it's like things like that. I will say, and like I mean I don't know, I feel like if you've been watching this long enough, you like have been sort of able to pick this up about like because we talked about this with I want to say Guardians 3, like our preferences in comedy.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't think it was like super like I wasn't like I didn't laugh that often. There were like a few things like I'm not gonna lie, the narrator like whoever that narrator was.
Dude, it was I'm blanking on. Yeah. Was it Helen Mirren? Maybe I'm capping, but
the narration in the movie I thought was quite funny. That's what got me the most. In terms of like the actual like in movie though, like
it was Helen Mirren.
Yeah. In terms of the actual in movie like jokes with like I mean again, like I don't know, for anybody who hasn't watched it, I guess spoilers, but like the ugly Barbie kind of jokes. Like those were like,
that's fair.
I wasn't like I don't know. Those personally were not in my taste. I was just like, yeah, I don't know. But sublime.
Yeah. No. It was,
so on the other hand, I really enjoyed Oppenheimer. Oh well, first of all, I'm a big fan of Nolan. I mean, I feel like it goes
we both are. Yeah.
No. You know, I think. Don't get me like I definitely can understand some people's criticisms with like I don't know, for example, like pacing maybe. And
pacing. The fact that the women characters were not characters, which is a thing that he tends to do. So, like, once again, not great. There was, like, a big controversy around the use of the Bhagavad Gita, which is, like, fair. I personally think that, you know, this might get me, like, canceled by Modi supporters, but honestly, I think, like, you should take it at, like, you shouldn't like take it at face value. Like it was a flaw in an otherwise flawed movie, but I don't think like I think the same criticisms would have been levied if the Bible was used or some other holy text or the Quran for that matter, and the same conservative religious community from all those different backgrounds would have been like, why are you displaying like this during a sex scene? Like that's not cool, that's inappropriate, whatever. Honestly, I think like at the end of the day it was meant to convey something in the plot, and beyond that, like it's just not realistic to say that, like, frankly, sex hasn't been a part of, like, Hindu, like, traditions. Like it's been there, like tantric traditions, like some sort of like some Shaivite traditions. Half of all Sanskrit drama has been like, and then this god who we revere very highly groped her breasts and kissed her, and I'm like great, like I didn't need to read this on a Tuesday morning, but like you know what I mean. It's not it's not like I think, and this is definitely hot take territory, but frankly, I think our modern, or at least the conservative perception of Hinduism is like just not representative. It's like, it's almost in the way that conservative people view classical Rome as like white marble streets, like only white people walking the street, like the hallmark of all civilization and military technology, and we need to go back there. People are playing the same games with classical India right now. I think that's kind of where like this idea about the Gita is coming from. I think like, though it is founded, and I'm not gonna dog on someone for being offended by it, because I also found it cringe. I'm like, come on, like Nolan was literally like, he's like, oh, he said the thing. He said the thing. Like, did you catch it? I'm gonna make him say it again later, but did you catch it? I'm like, oh, it was just like stupid and kind of pointless. But nonetheless, like he did it to show the audience that Oppenheimer was introspective and well versed in Sanskrit literature, as were a lot of intellectuals, scientists, and people in that day. A lot of people were turning east, specifically towards the Bhagavad Gita and other like Sanskrit literature. That being said, he could have handled it a lot better. I'm not saying that he couldn't have, but like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm Dhruv. Nice to meet you.
No, I do think it wasn't necessary. But you know, I mean, I think it goes without saying that. I mean, bro, I can't. I'm not speaking on this.
Yeah,
It's just like, you know. I think I can sit here and say, I do not know. Like, I don't know in terms of like, you know, I do not have the ties to the culture and whatnot. So, but thank you for the. No, I think it was very interesting to listen to.
But Oppenheimer did things well, which.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the thing that I really enjoyed about the movie was just, I tend to like pieces of media that focus on. I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase it, but like sort of complex humans, like sort of like the complexity of being human, the like wide spectrum of emotions that we may feel. For example, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like, I think that, I mean, obviously completely different like vibes, right? But just like, if I bring that movie up to showcase, like, you know, it talks about like such a wide variety of like just experiences that humans go through, that like the way like could be something that like you know, millions of people go through, even billions, like, you know, like strained relationships and family and whatnot. But just highlighting like just like the different ways that can like affect somebody, whatever, right? I don't know if you've seen, as of last time I checked, you have not seen this movie, but I bring up Whiplash.
Whiplash, yeah. Still haven't seen it,
it's okay,
unfortunately.
But
from what I've heard, yeah.
Yeah, like that is another movie that I think that conveys sort of the complex, like just complex human emotions. You know, like, I mean, particularly like what it's like to want to be the best at something you do, and like the things that come with that, right? So I personally really enjoyed Oppenheimer because I tend to like pieces of media like that, and I think that it was very powerful to not only get to take a look into like sort of more like you know, of these complex human emotions, but just just the way it painted J. Robert Oppenheimer as more than just someone in a textbook.
Yeah.
Like, I think for me, knowing that there was just so much more, I think the greatest thing I have to say about the movie is Cillian Murphy. Like, I think hands down,
He was great.
like the amount of preparation that he put into the role, and just how well he conveys the character. It's like
and everyone, I think every
the
actor,
cast,
the cast was just
stacked.
Yeah.
And like extremely, like just everybody did their part.
But I agree, Cillian Murphy was he killed it. I will say this. So I part of the Dhruv lore. I don't know how many people know this about me, but I did Quiz Bowl and History Bowl for a long time in elementary school, middle school, and high school. So I already knew pretty much most of the story in terms of just like concrete facts.
Sure.
That being said, it was kind of funny, like seeing the whole movie and just like checking off the boxes for like Easter eggs as they come up. I'm like, yep, and then Truman said that, and then Oppenheimer said this, and then that thing happened. So like I kind of got the view that way. But I think I came to the movie wanting to see, as you mentioned, the complex burden of the man who created a weapon who could destroy the world. That's the draw of the movie.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think it missed the mark because a large part of the movie was more caught up in the politics surrounding the fallout, pun intended, of Oppenheimer, rather than his own introspective processes itself. I think like half the movie, especially the back half of the movie, was all very like political thriller. The first half, like the first 5 minutes of the movie, I thought were great. The can you hear the music scenes, just like him like staring up. That's the stuff that really resonated with me. I'm like, okay, this is good. Like he's, introspective. He's clearly someone who the movie is framing as thinking about physics in a way that nobody else is doing this. Like this is interesting. But by the end we get to like literally like Avengers like after credit scene, like, sir, a young senator from Massachusetts shut down your proposal. What's his name? His name's Kennedy. John F. Kennedy. Bum 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 bum. It's like, what? Come on, like that. It's certainly a part of his story, but it wasn't why I went to go see the movie.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I walked out feeling like, dang, that kind of fell flat for me.
Okay.
Especially when I consider Chris, like a lot of people are saying, is this his best movie?
No.
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 We got Inception, we got Interstellar,
I think it's Interstellar.
Like Interstellar is, I think, too, like the best, like across the board. Not to say that Inception, Dark Knight, and honestly, I really like Tenet. I think Tenet was a little, like, I don't know, maybe just too dense for a lot of people to really like it, especially if they only saw it once and you just walked out of the theater being like, well, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
But I think Tenet was a really cool concept for a movie, and yeah, just fan of it. But I agree. I think like Interstellar was great. And so with all that context, Oppenheimer is visually stunning. But in terms of his best movie, probably not.
Yeah. No, it's totally fair. Yeah. Okay.
We talked about movies a lot.
Yeah, I'm
actually, there's one more movie that I'm gonna cover in 30 seconds.
Sure.
Blue Beetle.
Okay.
Worth the watch.
I haven't seen it.
It's good.
Okay.
If the same movie came out 10 years ago, it would have been swept up with all the other origin story movies we were getting, and we would have been like, okay, this is a lot. But this movie is a back to basics, bread and butter superhero origin story movie. When all superhero content coming out right now is either dog shit like The Flash, and Black Adam and a lot of other DC content, or just like really bogged down by its own weight,
Yeah.
i.e., all of Phase 4 and 5 of the MCU so far. Unfortunately,
Guardians is.
yeah, Guardians is a standout. Guardians, I'd say, in terms of just pure quality, I know you have qualms with this movie, but it's undeniable that Wakanda Forever is one of the better movies in Phase 4 and 5 in terms of quality. Because otherwise, you're talking about, like, I don't know, Black Widow. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, compared against all of that, Blue Beetle was a breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I don't think it's succeeding at the box office as much as it could right now.
But I don't even think that's its fault. I, think
Mhm.
it's
I don't think it's its fault either. I think it's, yeah,
It's
a
DC.
little, yeah.
It's like I'm not gonna lie, like I don't like. I feel like we've gotten to a point where people are like DC. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, Blue Beetle. But that's enough about movies.
Yeah. Why do we feel like fucking?
That's about half the episode. This could be a movie episode in and of itself, but we're
Yes.
gonna switch it up and we're
Okay.
gonna talk about
Music. Sure.
Music.
Let's run it. Utopia. I'll start off rip. So.
Beam.
So you thought it was alright.
I thought it was I mean, like, I haven't listened to it like
Okay.
that, so of what I've heard,
So I listened to it once.
yeah.
I don't remember where I was. I listened to it once, and I remember thinking, like, it's okay. And then I took a trip. I went to London, which we'll talk about later in the episode. And I, for some reason, just, like, you know when, like, you're just, like... I think one of my favorite things about life, and I mean, this may not apply to everybody, but, like, I love how... I feel like for a lot of people have soundtracks for certain, like, periods of their life.
Yeah.
Like, there are always certain songs that you associate with certain, like, periods of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And like there are just certain trips. Like I remember when I took a trip to Europe 2 years ago, and there's a particular playlist of mine who gifted me, or whose existence gifted me the term indie soft boy by some friends of ours.
Yeah.
That's
You're
for
not
another-
beating those allegations,
I
bro.
swear-
You're not beating them.
Anyway, but like I remember listening to that when I was in Europe the first time, and like that's like what like when I remember thinking of like when I went to like Europe for the first time, that's like the kind of soundtrack that I like associate with. So I ended up listening to Utopia like my entire time in London, and like it grew on me.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think it's like I definitely don't think it's like the greatest album ever. I definitely think that there are like songs that kind of weigh it down. I don't think it has like a somewhat unique sound, like you can tell, but it's just a fun listen. Like I give it like a light like a 7, like heavy 7, like
For
on
sure.
some Anthony Fantano type beat, like heavy 7, maybe like light 8. I mean, obviously when you're like working, when you're at Travis Scott level, like you can afford a lot like high quality production or whatever. So like there are like some unique sounds, some good use of like samples. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like there you could tell. It's funny because I put this my friend from back home, who I may have mentioned on the podcast, Marlo, but shout out to you. I remember talking to him and being like, I can tell which of these songs I'm gonna hear at box parties.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
so
it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and so I thought it was right, but yeah, I still listen to it every now and then. I think there's some fun songs. Like it's a fun album. Like basically, if you just want something to listen to that you're just like, you want us to like just kind of sing along and like listen to.
I put on shuffle play, just like Spotify like curates like a hip hop mix, you know, all sorts of genre mixes. I put on, I think it was hip hop earlier today, and one of the songs from Utopia came up. I'm like, oh, no, this is good. I remember exactly where I was when I first heard Utopia. I was driving with friends to a restaurant in a zip car, and I passed the aux to Adrian, and Adrian's like, yo, we gotta listen to it. I'm like, all right.
What did he play first though? Did he
He
play?
just played it in order, from the beginning. So it's not bad. But yeah, like fun listen. I agree. I haven't listened to it enough. I also haven't listened to New Uzi, but
Me neither. I still listened to it.
fair enough. From what I've heard though, good? Question mark.
I think.
I think like, I know that he did a cover of Chop Suey by System of a Down, which is just funny to me. I think that's just funny.
You know, it's funny. I was gonna say this earlier, but like it kind of still in my mind. Like I feel like when we were talking about Lil Wayne, I feel like Lil Wayne has inspired a lot of artists, and I feel like Lil Uzi is definitely like one of them that he's inspired pretty.
For sure. Also, the one song that I did listen to was Werewolf. I thought Werewolf was solid. I like how it was very rock inspired hip hop. What else has come out? Hillbillies. That single by Baby Keem and Kendrick Lamar. It's just a fun summer vibe type of song.
You retired, so I mean, it's no surprise we loosely outlined, but you mentioned Corey Wong and.
Yep. Haven't listened to all of new Corey Wong, but the last time Corey Wong dropped an album was my freshman year. He dropped Power Station, banger. Like he played with Wolfpack, I think, or he might still play with Wolfpack. I don't really know, but he's like one of the leaders on the new funk scene. So everything he does is just really funky fresh. The only song that I've listened to on the new album so far is Anonymous, and it's him and Cody Fry, who is another really, really talented musician out there right now. Cody Fry is more known for bringing in like the symphonic elements to his music, like a full string orchestra and shit. But I mean, he's also cracked at piano and like jazz and funk, so it's good. It's really good so far. So I'm excited to listen to the rest of it. New Mitski. I think the album is dropping in 5 days, so by the time this episode drops, it might actually already be out. But the singles so far, I've really liked. I think the title, you already know the like album's gonna be a banger because the title is This Land is Inhospitable and So Are We. I'm like, if you come up with a title like that, you already know that the album's gonna be something. Like it's gonna be out there.
Yeah, and being here at Brown, I'm gonna hear it somewhere.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true. But I really like the 3 singles so far. And she, it's also really funny. She started posting like these lyric analysis videos and like music analysis videos to her YouTube channel, where she breaks down the songs that she's putting out. And for 2 of them, it's like pretty standard. Like, oh, I met this producer and then we had this idea. But for the first one, I mean, I just love her so much. She's just out here like, yeah. And then I wrote this lyric because it sounds good. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, it's true. But yeah, I'm excited for New Mitski. I think it's going to be... Like, the last album was very, like, 80s inspired. So that was kind of, like, my gateway into it because I'm just, like, a sucker for 80s production. But this one sounds much more, like, acoustic in terms of production. So, kind of excited for that. What else has come out? New John Batiste. Speaking of whom, he's going to be here for the opening of the Lindemann Center.
Oh, wow.
Along with, I forget the other guy's name, but like a world-class violinist. So it's going to be good. But new John Batiste album kind of smacks. Like, World Music Radio. Like, probably the most glowing review I can tell of it is there's this one track featuring Jid and New Jeans, and it works. Like, it's like you wouldn't expect that combination to work, but it does. And it's just that for the whole album. Like, it's clear to see how much influence he's gotten from world music and jazz and just how much care is packed into it. Like, he's talented. He's definitely one of the most talented guys out there right now. And there's one more. Oh, yeah, just, like, personal, but, like, Twerp dropped an EP. It's good. I kind of like everything that Twerp does, so it's, like, that's nothing unexpected from me. But, yeah, what about you?
I'm not gonna lie, I've been listening to a lot of just stuff that I've always been listening to. I think The Weeknd's. I've just been bumping Live at the SoFi.
Yeah, Live at the
over and
SoFi is
over.
good, yeah.
So, but I will mention...
Did you see the TikTok of him in Munich, by any chance?
No.
There's this thing that went viral because he's doing the second leg of the tour in Europe right now.
I was actually in London when.
Oh, that's sick.
And I thought about it. I'm not gonna lie, I thought
awesome.
about it.
That's awesome.
But it was sold out.
Tough. But there was this lady in Munich who I think it was out of time, but like she was like singing along, and you know he does the crowd interaction thing where he gives her the mic. And she's just like, and he's just like, you see his eyes go. And then he takes it and he's like, yeah, you got a really unique voice, man. It's like, it's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's just so funny.
London, I'm pretty sure was the last show in his second leg of the tour. He's doing a third because he's going to like Australia
and like, yeah.
He's going to Australia, New Zealand, and Latin America or something. Mm-hmm. But he announced The Weeknd is no more. He goes
he's able.
He's able now.
I mean, so, he always was, I guess.
Yeah, but we'll see where he goes. It's kind of like the Prince name change. Except not really, because that was due to, like, record deals.
Yeah.
Stuff. But my point being that, like, you know, this is, at least as far as, like, as I can recall, like, the first big, like, name change from, like, an artist, like, in our generation, like, a massive name change. Like, who's massive and is, like, now gonna be producing art under a different name.
Yeah,
we'll see what this new era looks like. I was listening to Childish Gambino's 2011 EP a lot.
Yeah,
like
Camp or
no, it's just called EP.
Oh yeah,
it's with like Freaks and Geeks and Lights Turned On and Be Alone, My Shine, and Not Going Back. I've just been listening to a lot of that. Gambino's just like is a really strong personal favorite artist of mine. So I've been listening to a lot of that, but nothing too new. So yeah, that's music. And
that's us with the music. Also, I've been listening to a lot of J-pop this summer.
Okay.
The album with I Can't Stop the Loneliness by Henri, Timely, so good, like insanely good. Can't recommend it enough. But just for some reason, a lot of J-pop and like city pop. Nice. But it's just that kind of summer, I guess. So in our last, I think,
I'm not gonna lie.
10 minutes of the episode?
Yeah, it's like about.
Yeah.
Roughly, give or take.
We can talk about
us, I guess.
Yeah, what we've been up to. Let's start with you though, because you mentioned you went to London.
Yeah, so I mean, I wasn't doing much this summer. I was working on some certifications for data analytics, for computer science stuff. I randomly decided to make like a website. Like I got into some web development stuff, and I may or may not have made a like barely functional social media site called The Pocket, which may or may not be themed after this podcast. Maybe dropping sometime whenever. Anyway.
It's like the 2 users is just us.
Yeah. But I don't know. It was cool. It was a cool little venture into web development. Yeah. I got my license to drive finally.
Yeah.
I know.
Got down.
Leave me alone. All right. So I can drive. That's nice. And that was kind of a pain. DMV experiences in Miami are a damn tragedy. Yep. I'm pretty sure they are across the United States.
They are here in Rhode Island. It's nasty out here.
Have you been to the DMV here?
Yeah, it's gross. I literally got there, and they're like, "Do you have an appointment?" I'm like, "You need an appointment?" So I had to go back and like reschedule it.
Yeah. So, Florida DMV, terrible, but I got it done. I was in New York for a bit. It was fun. I did a lot of walking, just a lot of existing. I've been to New York a few times before, and so I'm not gonna lie. I've been to the Empire State. Mm-hmm. I've been to One World Trade Center.
Yeah, you've done the touristy shit, but you haven't lived in New York.
Yeah, but I just kind of walked like everywhere and just ate food.
It's a New York
and
vibe.
Just walked some more. I went to like a cafe and I did work. I'm like, damn. Which I proceeded to see the smallest sink I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Like it was straight up like, it wasn't even like a full sink, because like, so it was like about as wide as like, I guess like a somewhat standard like sink, but then like it was about like half as like out of the wall.
Oh,
It was like, I don't know, maybe like this like this wide, like out of the wall.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just had me thinking about like how like New York is straight up like it feels like an ant farm. Like it feels like specifically Manhattan is like trying to cram as much possible in such a small space, and it's like all about like constantly go and like you know and I'm not gonna lie, like a lot of it is like businesses and like money based, like it's like I mean it's one of the financial capitals of the centers of the world, so. Yeah, I got COVID after I got back from New York.
That's a whole L, bro. Come on.
So I was supposed to go to Brazil.
Oh,
I got COVID.
man, that sucks.
COVID's on the rise again.
Yep. I've been seeing a lot of cases recently.
These New York subways jumped me. I got it for the second time a year after I got it the first time, but whatever. So long story short, I didn't end up going to Brazil, and my mother made a spontaneous decision that let's hit up London. We're like, all right, let's run it.
Nice.
So we went to London, and I think London was a nice trip. And I'm not gonna lie, I walked away from it feeling like I enjoyed London quite thoroughly, and I maybe could see myself living there.
Nice.
I'm not gonna lie, we may or may not have started beef with the British on prior episodes of this podcast.
It's true.
We have also,
and I stand by it.
I will say this, historically, they've been our ops.
That's true.
You
gotta give them credit, though. Credit where credit's due. They made Doctor Who.
Facts. I saw a life-size Dalek.
No, that's awesome. Yeah.
But there were things that I was very appreciative of when I was there. The food's a lot fresher. I think that it's a lot healthier. It's a lot more walkable. Public transport, they have public transport. And nice.
They have public transportation.
Well, like
crazy.
I just think like
no, I agree. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are places like New York that have public transport, but like I feel like LA, from what I've heard, is not super reliable. Miami, just don't even.
Yeah. No, I mean, LA, you gotta drive everywhere.
Yeah.
The public transportation is not worth it.
And so, you know, it's things like that. I think they have so much green space, and I think that's like and not only is it a lot of green space, it's a lot of very well maintained green space, and I think that adds a lot of beauty to the city, and also it's environmentally optimal. They even have like little planter boxes on the top of their bus stops, like that are planted with flowers, and they like they are labeled as like homes for like insects and stuff and like bees.
Frankly, because Europe is just more together with their environmental policy than we are.
And so it's just things like that are nice, that I was very appreciative of. The diversity. I mean, I think, well, just the fact that Europe is closer to like Asia and Africa, there's just
Well, it's not that, man.
No, I know. Like there are a lot of people who like when they leave, like when they leave the, you know, countries to immigrate out.
Yeah.
Like London is just like in terms of proximity, like.
Yeah, but it's also because. Don't make me say it, man. Don't make me say it. Nah.
Anyway, so yeah, there was just like there was a lot more diversity than I feel like you would see in places in America. And honestly, this was like something that was very minor. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Potential hot take, but I'm just gonna drop it. Their museums, like most of their museums, are free. That's not the hot take. The hot take is it's the least they could do after they stole all of our art. I'm not gonna lie.
It's true.
There was a lot of art from places that
they shouldn't have got art from.
And I'm like, why is this here? With that being said, I guess the least you could do is make it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it comes full circle. Like, it's like what Pavitra Prabhakar said, bro.
Yeah.
And this is where the traffic is, and this is where the traffic is, and this is where the British stole all of our stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it. They have a whole Easter Island head. I'm like, bro.
Oh, come on, bro.
So, yeah, but it's things like that. Like, I'm not gonna like a museum here, a museum trip in so like at least I speak from like Miami, for example. It's like they'd be running your pockets for like a day on like a Tuesday, bro. I'm like, damn, like, what y'all doing? So,
half of them don't even have student discounts. Like, bro, like, what are you doing?
So it's just things like that I was very appreciative of, and I liked it a lot. You know, it was a nice little trip, but I just think that it was a bit. I think traveling to Europe, is if one is able to, if one is like, you know, fortunate enough to be able to like, you know, travel to Europe, it really opens your eyes as to like just how different parts of the world operate, you know, and like what living in America is like in reality compared to, you know, like the way we live is not the way everybody else lives. And so it's nice to like, you know, take yourself out of that and like see other.
Yeah.
But that was it. That's basically the basic recap. How about you?
No, I mean, I was here in Providence for a lot of it. Just working pre-college. You know, it was a fun experience. Had a good time. Got to just sort of like relax, work on personal projects. Went home and pretty much did the same thing. So, you know, I just feel rested and ready to go.
You're doing research were you doing research?
I was.
In
It was a the research was less a part of it because like that's kind of just like an ongoing project with like a spine surgery lab. But I also more relevantly, I guess, kind of am putting together some episodes of another podcast.
Cheating on me, bro.
Yeah, it's for real. About some more like medically science educational related stuff. It'll be through I'm just gonna plug it right now, the Rhode Island Genetics Alliance. I'm planning on like finalizing that and putting it up hopefully later this month. Nice. So I mean, subtle plug, not so subtle plug, I guess. But yeah, that was like kind of it. I did a lot of writing, which was fun. Started watching TV, or got an opportunity to catch up on a lot of TV that I missed. Currently watching Vinland Saga, which is good. It's good. But yeah, that's me. That's what I've been up to. Yeah. All right, well, I think we're just about out of time.
I'm not gonna lie. To be candid, I mean, you guys have ridden with us long enough. I feel like it's not even that the magic has disappeared, but I feel like the longer we've done this, the more like, I mean, at the end of season 1, we made an episode being pretty transparent about like, you know, a bit about our creative process and how the podcast came about. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I forgot to start the stopwatch this time, so we've kind of just, I've been like, I checked the outline.
There's a secret document that you guys don't have access to.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. These computers are just for show. Bro, yeah, I was just using the last revision. Like, I was like, but yeah. So I think it's been, you know, it's our time's up. Our time's up.
Yep.
Not for the season. We'll be back next week. Yeah, you're stuck with us again. And hopefully we'll be able to cook up.
And color reveal.
Are we actually?
I mean, if you want to. I guess you'll just see it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But yeah, let's take them out. You've been listening to 101.1 FM, WOPPIP, WDRVIP, WALEIP Providence.
You guys can catch us at our website at www.theoutapocketpodcast.com, and Outta is spelled Outta. Go check it out because by the time this is out, the color will be up. So yeah, and you guys can find us, you know, our Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all through our website, and so you can follow us everywhere and keep in touch with what we're doing. Also, I mean, this is like we haven't talked about this, but like shorts possibly coming soon.
Possibly.
Stay tuned.
But yeah, you can also hit us up on the contact page. I'm not gonna give you the whole spiel. Like, we've been doing this for years now. Like, why haven't you guys emailed us? Like, come on, please.
But like, if you guys are looking for a live action Miles Morales and Spider-Man India.
Oh, actually, I do want to add one quick thing that happened to me over the summer. On my last day here, I went to the Rhode Island Anime Convention on like a whim. Just because like Adrian saw a bunch of cosplayers and he followed them and he's like, oh bro, like
you just exposed my boy deviously on this podcast, bro. That's crazy.
I mean, he needs to come here and clear his name at this point.
That's crazy. That's foul.
But anyway, he called me up and I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. So I joined him. the number of microaggressions I got in like a span of 20 minutes, that shit was crazy. It was just like, I'm like, dang, I didn't even know people thought like this anymore. Like, what?
That's crazy because you gotta slide on the ops.
No, that shit was so funny though. But yeah, that's like that doubles as my out of pocket. I mean, that's not an out of pocket advice. That's an out of pocket story. But thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. We're excited to run it back for another year.
Yeah.
We'll see you next week, and yeah. Self-love, he don't love himself, trying to love me, cuff me. Yeah, it's
Self-love.
good, it's good.
And with that being said, love yourselves.
Love yourselves.
Anyways, welcome back to the Outta Pocket Podcast, Season 3. Every season we strive to be better, so we look forward to delivering some just engaging content that you guys will love. Thank you guys for tuning in. Catch you guys later, and take care.